Hi guys, here we start with chapter 2. I'm beginning basically from page 19, and this is how we are going to begin opening up a project, and we'll talk about the workspace a little. So here's how After Effects opens up, and for us we're going to just be making a new composition. So this is where you would select that. And then in this area, the most important thing is that you choose the right preset, which I already have mine set on the NTSC DV. You can see there's lots of different settings, so there's film and HD TV and then video, web, banners, and so forth. Right now we're just sticking with the DV. And all of this is fine. Make sure your duration is 7 seconds, and you put that in by putting 700. And then you can hit OK. So let's look at the workspace first on After Effects. It's very similar to Premiere Pro, and we've got the Tools panel, which is up here. Those are your tools. This is your Project panel, just like in Premiere Pro. Your Composition panel is where everything's featured. This is your Timeline panel. We have these grids here. The guides are set, but if you want a grid to line things up with, you can go there. You can also put rulers up, or you can like click and drag guidelines if you want one. And you just click back on them if you want to get rid of those. And see if I want to clear my guides right there. And then the one that we'll be using later is the title action safe. That shows you where you can place your titles and where actions are safe for everybody to view. We're going to save this composition. So we can just save as, make it bug. In my case, because I've already done it once, I'm going to replace. And now we're going to import footage. So you go to File, Import, File. But notice the Command I, that's a faster way to import stuff. So I would suggest using Command I. Then you do have to have the disk in. You go to Chapter 2, and we're going to go to the US 11. You can see it's Seattle during the day. Really important, make sure the JPEG sequence is not selected, because if it is, you're just going to have like a 1-second photograph. So take that off. Click on Open, and you can see in our project panel that we have that image. What we're going to do is go change our grid so that we have the title action safe and also the grid. And we're going to place a rectangle inside this area. So I'm coming up here to the shape tool, and you can see we have a fill and a stroke. So I'm going to click and drag inside the first rectangle, which means that it's safe for the title. And when you make a shape, there's all these options. You can change the colors, whatever you need. But you should be aware that this is your color box, and the reason we use that is so that you match colors exactly instead of just guessing and picking it out, because if you're using a product or something, they already have that code. They know exactly what their color is, so that's what you want to use. And on the stroke, I'm going to actually make none, which is right here. So you can have like gradients on your strokes or on your fills. I say OK. And actually I'm going to double check my fill real quick. Yep, that looks fine. Come into these options, normal, yep, everything's good. We're going to put some effects on this now. So under the effect, and I'm actually going to take our grids and stuff off so you can see this better. Under Effect, first one I want to do is a bevel. So go under Perspective and do Bevel Edges. And over here, you can see here's your project panel, and then this is your effects control. So we have all these features, and you learned about some of those in Premiere Pro. For bevel edges, we're going to put on the relief value, you want the edge thickness set to 0.5, and actually you can click on this and slide it around. Oh, 0.05, sorry. And now we're going to put a color emboss on there. So go ahead and click on the arrow to move most of those features in that one bar. Going here. And the color emboss is under Stylize. Color emboss right here. And every time you choose an effect, it's just listed over here under the effect controls. And on the color emboss, they want a relief value of 2. So click on there and drag to the right until you get 2. And then you can click off of the shape with your selection tool. You have the selection tool here. And that deselects it. And now we're going to add a text layer. So you're going to come up here, click on the T, click anywhere, doesn't really matter. And then you're going to type news space 6. And over here, actually, notice on the workspace, I'm in text mode. You may have been in standard or maybe effects. You see all that changes, and the panels on the right change as well. So for this, go ahead and move to text and then have your text selected. You want to have veranda, which I have already, in white, and the pixel setting is at 30. So same thing, if you click on here and you drag around, it'll change your pixel setting, which is just your font size. Here we go. And now go get the selection tool, drag it into that box, and now we're going to put an effect on it. Oh, sorry. Before we put that effect on it, we're going to bring in that project that we imported. So on placing the footage, you can do that several ways. You can just click and drag it in here, or click and drag it into the screen and have it placed. When you do that, it automatically puts it on the top, and it is selected. So we want to move this underneath the box and the text. To do that, you can either click on here and drag it, and you see that black line representing where it goes. And when you click and drag, you have to be on this little icon next to the name. Otherwise, if you click on other things, it doesn't work quite the same. Or you can hold down the Command key, and this makes it a lot easier, and this works the same in Premiere Pro. And you can hold down the brackets. So if you do the left bracket, you can see it goes one layer down each time. And then if you do the right one, it brings it up. So if you have a lot of different layers going on, this makes it easier to navigate and move through. You can also hold down the Shift command and do the bracket left to go all the way down to the bottom. So if you have like 20 layers and you want something down at the bottom, Shift command bracket left bracket will bring it down the bottom, and then Shift command right bracket will bring it up to the top. These are just good shortcuts, because as you get more complicated effects, then you'll want to jump around faster. Okay, so now we have our footage underneath, and we're going to take our news footage and put a nice little effect on it. So selecting your text layer, Now we're going to go click on animation up in the menu bar, and we're going to browse presets, which when you hit that, it's going to open up Adobe Bridge. And Adobe Bridge is just like a glorified Finder or, any kind of file viewer that you have in your computer. But it bridges it to the actual applications of Adobe. So in here, we're going to go find the text file. Okay. And in here, we're going to look at the Animate In options. If you click just once on Center Spiral, and you'll have to wait just a little bit, it's going to bring up the preview of how that effect looks. There it is. That's a little busy for the news program. So we're going to select the character shuffle in. Every day I'm shuffling. All right, and then from that point you go File, Place in After Effects. If we hit our preview button, you will see the font coming in, shuffling in. All right, so now we're ready to render, and this is the big point on Premiere Pro and After Effects. To be able to preview everything but then export it out, you need to go to the render queue. If you don't see this, then you need to go up to your window and come down, select render queue to make sure it's up and ready. So we're in composition 1 and we're going to add it to the render queue. Here's render queue, now everything's in there. Over here on the output module, you're going to hit lossless and then change it from QuickTime to an MPEG-2. You'll see why later. And we've got the RGB, etc. Click OK. And then output 2, you need to decide where it's going to go. So here's my desktop, because it probably still has your disk selected, but we want to put it as bug on the desktop, MPEG-2, and click Save. And I already have one there, so I'm replacing it. Now you would think that that was saved, but it's actually not. You now have to hit the render button over here on the side. And now it's magically done. Okay, so if we narrow this down, narrow that down, go find bug, UV, QuickTime Player's opening, News 6, yay! And then this would be the item you would put into Premiere Pro after you've added these actions, and we'll be doing some more advanced ones later. But you can go ahead and stop there for today.